Hi, how's it going? So in this Mavic Air 2 quick tips video, I'm going to share 5 little tidbits that will hopefully teach you something that you might not know, or maybe you kind of knew but not really, about your Mavic Air 2. Now my ultimate goal with these quick tips videos is to help all of you get the most out of your flying experience. So let's get right to the tips. That's right, you won't find any fluff here except for I'm asking you to subscribe, hit the thumbs up if you find value here, follow me on social media, and watch the video all the way through without skipping. You have no idea how much that helps the channel, and it costs you nothing at all. All right, first thing, I just discovered this the other day, but did you know that your Mavic Air 2 can track you even when it's not flying? Sort of. So I was going through the app in preparation for making this video, and I wanted to see what would happen if I started focus track on me before I launched the drone. And it turns out in spotlight mode, just in spotlight mode, not in the others, the Mavic Air 2 gimbal will follow you. So I found that to be kind of interesting. Now, what's the use case for this kind of hidden feature? I guess the only thing that I could think of is maybe as a second angle camera when you're out getting some talking head video or something like that, but otherwise there really isn't much use for it. But I just thought it was interesting that it worked while it was on the ground. Now the next thing that I want to show you is not really a tip or a feature, it's more of a question that I've always had, and it's, does the Mavic Air 2 fly faster moving forwards or backwards? Like, can the drone reach a higher top speed going in either direction? In particular in sport mode. Now the common sense says no, but I've never tested it, so I did. And the verdict is, long story short, there's no difference at all. The Mavic Air 2 flies the exact same top speed in sport mode, whether it's going forwards or backwards. Now, it's a shocking revelation, I know. I guess I just thought with the aerodynamics of the drone that there would be a little more advantage to moving forwards, but that's not the case. It can move just as fast going backwards. So maybe in a pinch, if you want to get home quickly, your batteries get low and you want to get it home quickly, instead of turning it around, you know, taking those extra 2 seconds to do that, you can just go ahead and pull the stick back and get it back quickly. Hey, I didn't say all of these were useful, just some of them. Okay, next thing. So when you're active tracking something like spotlight mode or point of interest or whatever, how do you usually stop the active tracking? I'm guessing nearly every one of you just go ahead and tap on that stop button right on the screen, right? Well, for the next 2 tips, let's head over to the screen recorder. Okay, so the next thing that I want to show you has to do with active tracking or focus tracking. You know that you can just swipe on the screen and focus on what you want to use for your active track or your spotlight or your point of interest mode. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to click on point of interest, and we're just going to do a little point of interest mission. I'm going to hit the go button, and then it's going to start moving over to the right. Now, most of the time, you're going to hit that stop button, and that's going to stop your point of interest. But you can also, did you know this, tap on the return to home button on your controller, and that will stop your focus tracking mission. And then if you want to just disengage focus track altogether and just go back to normal mode, hit that return to home button again, and that puts you back into normal mode. So just a couple of quick ways to get out of active tracking and get back into normal mode. And so I thought that was kind of convenient. Maybe sometimes you don't want to be tapping on your screen, or you quickly need to disengage the active track because you notice a tree is coming and your hand is already on the controller. So it's kind of useful to be able to just tap on that return to home button and have it go back into normal mode and stop immediately. So it's a good safety feature there. Now the next thing that I want to show you is, if you look in the lower left hand corner right here, I'm going to move the drone over so we can get out of the previous flight that I did earlier here. But if you look at the drone, look at the icon of the drone there, and you look at on the front of the drone, you'll see that green cone kind of. It's like a green upside down triangle. What that is, that's actually your gimbal position indicator. And a lot of people, I think, don't realize that. It's not the heading of your drone. It shows where your gimbal is positioned. And so if you, let's say you tap on the screen and you can move your gimbal left or right or up or down by sliding your finger, okay? So I'm gonna slide over to the right here, and we'll go over to about 25 degrees, okay? Now look at that green cone on the front of the drone icon. See how it's pointing to the right a little bit? So it's showing you the position that your gimbal is in. And I think that's useful because there might be some times where you're flying and you're gonna feel like you're flying sideways. And that's because your gimbal, you know, if you're watching the screen, it looks like your gimbal is I mean, it looks like your drone's flying kind of crooked, and you might like, oh, maybe I need to calibrate my IMU, but that's not the fact. The fact is your gimbal is positioned off to the right a little bit. So I'm going to show you here. I'm going to go ahead and just move forward. See, I have the stick pointing straight ahead, and I'm moving to the left. So it's kind of odd. And then also you're seeing the propeller in the screen, and you might be like wondering what is going on. And all you have to do is glance down in that lower left-hand corner, and you can see by looking at that green gimbal indicator that the gimbal is facing a little bit to the right. And so 2 ways you can correct it. Number one, you can tap and hold on the screen and move it back into position, or you can set your function button. Let's go down here to control button customization, and then right here you can choose to recenter gimbal, and then all you have to do is tap on that function button right here, and that's going to recenter your gimbal. Actually, it's going to go down and center, and then tap it again and it'll bring it back up to 0 degrees, so it's pointing straight ahead. And so you can either use your finger to drag it, which is kind of inconvenient, or just set up your function button, tap it once and it'll go down and center, and then it'll go, tap it again and it'll go up and center. So that way you know that your gimbal's pointing straight ahead, and when you're flying forward, it looks like you're actually flying forward. So a nice little useful feature down there that I thought a lot of people don't really understand what that green cone is. So that's what that's for. So, all right, so I hope that helps you. Let's get to the final tip for today. Okay, so the last tip that I want to share with you today has to do with getting cinematic footage. Now, I know I say that all the time and you hear it all the time across YouTube, but cinematic footage is what we strive for. It's what we try to get with our drones and with our cameras to make people feel like they're watching a Hollywood movie production. They want to watch a video and be just awed and inspired and everything like that. So when we say cinematic footage, I know it gets kind of old, but it really is true, and it's something that everyone is trying to achieve when they're shooting video footage. Now, there's a lot of different ways, there's a lot of different facets to cinematic footage, but one of the most important ones is aspect ratio. You know, you can watch a 4:3 video and be like, man, that's boring. Or you can watch an Instagram video and be like, yeah, that's pretty cool, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that movie look. And so what a lot of people do is when they record a typical 16:9 video, and to make it look more cinematic, they put those black bars on the top and the bottom. So that makes it look like you're watching a cinema version of a video. But the problem is that's kind of fake. That's kind of like going the easy way about it. And so what's become more popular these days is anamorphic lenses. Now, basically what an anamorphic lens does is it squeezes your video, and instead of just chopping off the top half and the bottom half of your 16:9 video, this actually, an anamorphic lens actually captures the entire image. And then what you have to do is in post-production, you have to de-squeeze it. So it squeezes the image a little bit, and then you take it into post-production, and with the click of 2 buttons, you can make your footage look actually cinematic. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to show you the difference between the two. So I don't have the anamorphic lens on my Mavic Air 2 right now. I'm going to go ahead and launch up, and I'm just going to capture some footage using, just the normal lens here. So let's go ahead and get this up. I'm going to go ahead and do my screen recorder, and I'm going to go ahead and hit record. Okay, so let's fly around and get some fall footage.
About to leave, already packing, come with me, I'm not really asking, we'll get away to a place where we don't know, about to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on the anamorphic lens. I'm going to show you the difference between using that footage that I just took and chopping off the top and the bottom, and then I'll put it side by side with the anamorphic so you guys can see the difference.
With the lights out, down with my own doubts, be free with me. Looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Oh yeah. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Be free. Be free with me.
Okay, so there you have the difference between using a typical 16:9 video and chopping it up, or using an anamorphic lens of your Mavic Air 2. I don't know about you, but I think that anamorphic video looks great. It's really catching on right now. People are all about anamorphic, and I really didn't know much about it until I got this, this anamorphic lens from Freewell. And then I first shot a little bit at home, and then I came up here. The Canadian border is right there. It's about, I don't know, it's about half a mile right there. So I'm right on the Canadian border, trying to get some fall footage on my family's property up here. Just beautiful. And I think that anamorphic look, it really does look like you're watching more like a movie production. And so I think it's really valuable, really inexpensive. I'll put a link for this Freewell anamorphic lens down in the video description if you want to learn more about it. Now, to de-squeeze that footage, you know, because this lens does squeeze your footage. It looks really weird if you don't do it in post-editing. You have to de-squeeze it, and it's really easy with Adobe Premiere Pro. All you have to do is right-click on that video clip and then go to Interpret Footage, and then you use this ratio right here, this aspect ratio. Click on that, and boom, you got yourself some cinematic video footage. Sorry, I say cinematic video footage way too much, but it really is true, and it looks great. And if you have any questions about this, how to do this, how to edit it, or anything like that, let me know. Let me know if you have any other questions about the anamorphic lens or any of the tips that I shared with you today. Hopefully you got some value out of at least one or two of them. If you did, click on that thumbs up button. Let me know that you liked it. Also, subscribe if you're not already. Follow me on social media if you're not doing that already. Thank you so much for watching the entire video today. Have a great day, everyone. And as always, fly safe and fly smart.